Welcome to a special classic game room Q&A coming to you from the Intergalactic 70s Space Bar in the Intergalactic Space Arcade. And yes, I have a lobster-themed bottle opener. Because why not? Announcement! The Classic Game Room 2015 Game of the Year Award Show is on December 31st. It's a Thursday. Mark your calendars. What are the best games that I played in 2015, regardless of what year they were released? Should be a good time. I've got my Vectrex handy, and I'm about to start answering some questions. Oh wait, I forgot one thing. Just got my copy of Earth Defense Force 4.1. It's out. And it smells like it's gonna be awesome. Let's get started. What's worst? From the forums asks Mutoid Man. Good name. So what's worst? What's the worst thing that could happen? The only game on the Vectrex is a Jar Jar Binks one, or Truxton is only available on the R zone. That's an easy one. Truxton being on the R zone is the worst thing that could happen, because Truxton would be ruined, because every game on the R zone is unplayable. It's a giant piece of garbage. Whereas a Jar Jar game on the Vectrex would be great if that Jar Jar game is a special Mortal Kombat game where the Predator rips off Jar Jar's head and shoves it down his neck, then lights him on fire, kicks him out of the airlock, and shuts the airlock, then watches RoboCop. Sort of lost it at the end there, but you get my drift. A Jar Jar game on the Vectrex would be fine, as long as Jar Jar is somehow being punished in vector graphics. And there's a cool overlay. You can never forget the Vectrex overlays, which could have like, what button does what? Light Jar Jar on fire, rip Jar Jar's head off, cut Jar Jar in half, blow Jar Jar up. Who would win? Blaxploitation Edition asks Pandemonium. Jim Kelly and Black Dynamite versus Dolomite and Fred Williamson. I can tell you right now, if someone made a Laserdisc off of that, we would all win, but I gotta go Jim Kelly and Black Dynamite, because Jim Kelly is a kung fu master, and he was in Enter the Dragon and Black Belt Jones, and Dolomite, well, Dolomite's just funny. I think Dolomite would be the weak link there. And Black Dynamite and Fred Williamson would probably just go to the bar together, drink beer, and talk about how awesome RoboCop is. Because it's pretty awesome. Dear Mark, are you of German descent? Yes. Yes, I am. My heritage goes back through Pennsylvania many generations, but before that it's German, English, Scottish. That's why I like cold weather. Everybody else is wearing coats, I'm still in shorts. Question for Mark. Godzilla, Lando, and Kung Fury. Is that a question? Because you just named three of my favorite things. Kung Fury's awesome. I just watched that recently. Thank you to everyone who recommended it. It's better than I thought it was going to be. Hello, Mark. I'd like to know what are your thoughts on the 2014 Godzilla movie. It was okay. It was okay. It wasn't great. I thought, had I written it, it would have been better. Let's be honest. Like, I don't know what it is. There's something with the Hollywood writers. Like, they have to somehow satisfy every possible demographic and every age group and every potential consumer, and it just turns into a bland movie. Like the older Godzilla films, and even the ones from the 90s and early 2000s, they were just more badass. And I think the 2014 Godzilla movie just sort of lacked that quality. It was alright. It looked nice. I mean, it was sure as hell better than the 98 Godzilla movie. That was just downright offensive. What are your thoughts on Pacific Rim? See, I like Pacific Rim a lot. Because Pacific Rim is, first of all, a very well-made movie. It suspends disbelief within 3 minutes. You're totally into it. It doesn't take itself seriously, and it manages to kick ass from start to finish. Pacific Rim is a great example of how to do a giant robot or giant monster movie right. Very, very well made, and I've watched it 3 times. Also, have you watched the 30-minute parody Kung Fury? Yes, and wow. That's an example of how to make a good movie. I wish it was longer, because I was in tears laughing the whole time. In tears. Love it. Love that movie. Pretty sure I would get along with the writer and director very well. We have similar interests. Let's see, blah, 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 blah. Moreover, I'd like to know who would win between the following characters. Lando Calrissian versus Han Solo versus RoboCop versus IG-88. Well, obviously RoboCop would win that one. Although I choose to believe that all of them would just get together and watch Star Wars on Laserdisc and talk about how much Jar Jar Binks sucks. I am looking forward to the new Star Wars movie. It better be on Laserdisc. Opening sequence versus, asks Teddy Kong Country. Omega Boost, Omega Boost. The opening sequence, opening sequences, Omega Boost versus Zionide. Both have great opening sequences, and I'm talking about the cutscenes that start when you begin the game. Omega Boost, which I think is my favorite opening cutscene, opening sequence of all time. Although the Zionide one was very good. Now the difference there is that Omega Boost actually lives up to its cutscene, whereas Zionide was pretty lousy. Who would win versus, who would win? El Camino. Let's see. Who would win? El Camino asks, El Camino GameCube. Love your avatar, which is an El Camino. Burt Reynolds in a signature Bandit Trans Am powered by beer versus Sega fanboy Mark in the El Camino equipped with a Jar Jar seeking death laser. Who would win? Whew. That one sounds like a tie. Burt Reynolds in the Trans Am. I don't know. That sounds like one of those questions where we all win. I think we're winning just thinking about that. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've seen Smokey and the Bandit. That's a good movie. Vinyl record reviews. Ask J-Man3302. Oh, I need to grab a record to give you guys a recommendation for the week. Normally it's just Def Leppard and Van Halen, but let's expand our mind a little bit. So you like the recommendations? Well, hopefully you'll be seeing more of those. These are a lot of fun to do. How big is my collection? I've got a decent collection. I've done a lot of bargain shopping over the past decade or so. So I got a lot of my really good stuff for like $4 or $5. And I'll show that off one of these days. What is my most prized or rare album? I'm not sure I have a rare album. I got Beastie Boys' Ill Communication on vinyl, which is the green vinyl, and I think that one was really nice. Soundgarden, Bad Motorfinger, which was kind of hard to track that one down. But I usually don't hunt down vinyls anymore. It's like what I find. I'm still looking for some Gary Newman and like 80s Depeche Mode. Because back in the day, those bands and those artists recorded for vinyl, not cassette. And certainly not for CD. The older CDs are crap. Yeah, I don't have any of the Beatles stuff. I'm not really into the Beatles. And you can get the Led Zeppelin stuff obviously remastered, but anything aimed at baby boomers costs a fortune because they've got the money to pay for it. I missed an opportunity for a Dreamcast joke on my Mindhunter review. We don't joke about the Dreamcast, we respect it because it's thinking about how to destroy us. Jar Jar free question, thank you. The objective is to locate all of the mines before the timer reaches 9999. Oh, you're right. The Dreamcast launch date. I did miss that one. Now I am checking Twitter for Q&A questions. Who'd win in a fight, Peter Jennings or Tom Brokaw? Assuming Peter was still alive, I'm going to go with RoboCop. What state do you live in? The state of denial. Would you rather play around with a flamethrower or play the Doom SNES version? Well, obviously a flamethrower. Mark, can you lend me your Truxton cartridge? No. If a Sega Genesis and Laserdisc player got in a fight, who would win? They would join forces and create the Laser Active, which is a real thing. What is your favorite system to collect for? Collecting-wise, I love to go Sega Genesis or Atari 2600 personally. They both got really big collections, frequently with a lot of good games, or I should say they both have a lot of really good games, and, well, in Atari's case, certainly some not so good ones. Oh look, the mailman came to the space station. Shut up! The dog is just gonna bark, so ignore her. Let's see here. Galactic asks, Dreamcast or Vectrex? Well, I love the Dreamcast and the Vectrex. The Dreamcast is easier to collect for, it's cheaper, and there's more games for it. So, but the Vectrex is the Vectrex. Ideally, you should have both. All right, will Van Halen be brought back to life for year 2084? I hope so, as long as it's like 1984-ish Van Halen. Although, to be fair, I also really like the Sammy Hagar era, or at least some of it. Favorite accessory for any game console? Also, I now have the Game Over t-shirt from CGR Store. Thanks for the fun. Thank you. Favorite accessory for any game console? Gosh, there's so many. You're hurting my brain right now. I don't know why, but the two that are jumping out at me are the Vectrex Art Pen and the DJ Hero Turntable of all things. Kind of like that one. That was a good one. Who would win in a game of checkers? Oh, hang on, I missed one. Would you battle Jar Jar in a steel cage match for the heavyweight title of the universe? Yes, preferably with a flamethrower or chainsaw. Who would win in a game of checkers between Godzilla and the super dimensional fortress Macross? I don't think Godzilla's that smart, so I'm gonna go Macross on that one. Would you want your own giant Truxton or 1,000 smaller Truxtons? You guys are asking some good questions today. I gotta go with one giant Truxton. Gotta go with a big one. I mean, really, one Truxton should be enough. Can we still get the Shenmue 2 review? I hope so. You know, I don't know. I really don't know what's happening next year yet. So, with any luck, yes. Yes. Hey, Mark, what were your favorite games of 2015? You'll have to wait to the game. I could re-record that, but I'm not going to. You'll have to wait for the Game of the Year awards show and find out what's the best Daft Punk album. I really like the most recent one because I think they captured like the Daft Punk style, but also like went for that old school organic music, like the 70s style, and it's a great album from start to finish. And the last one here, what's the weirdest controller you've ever reviewed? Does the entire R-Zone count as a controller? Because it's kind of built into a controller. I'm going to go R-Zone on that one. But there's been a lot of just bizarre like PlayStation controllers and whatnot that I've reviewed. Holy crap, there's a lot of questions. You guys don't stop. Let's see, are you a taco? Only when I eat tacos. Are you coming back to PAX East? I don't have plans at the moment. That was a lot of fun though. So I really like going to conventions. It's great to meet all of you. I think the problem with conventions is I never have time to actually play any games. What's your favorite, which game console is your favorite? Generally, I tend to lean Sega Genesis, but you know, it's Atari 2600, Vectrex, the usual suspects. How do you can't talk today. How do you describe the support people have given CGR throughout the years? I don't even know how to describe it. It's beyond anything I've ever expected. Fuzzix, who's got the Star Trek 4 punk for his avatar, that makes me laugh every single time. What would you do for a proper job, as in the beer that for some reason they do not distribute in the United States or in space? What would I do for a proper job? I will email the company every single day and annoy them until they send me a keg of proper job, or at least some bottles. Favorite game controller? Either the Sega Genesis controller or the second Sega Saturn controller, the second gen Sega Saturn controller, the Japanese one. Would you install a Vectrex in your El Camino's dashboard if it wasn't too distracting on the highway? I think that would be too distracting on the highway. Plus it also might break the time-space continuum. Ramones or Sex Pistols? Ramones. You win a Lifetime Award for awesomeness. Thank you. Yes, I would make this my vinyl recommendation for the week. White Zombie's Astro Creep 2000, except I always talk about White Zombie. You know I like White Zombie, so let me dig a little deeper here. I don't have my whole vinyl collection at home, and I don't think this album is a great album, but there's two songs of note in Peter Schilling's Things to Come. Things to Come with Peter Schilling. Nice mullet and jean jacket, Peter. He's best known for the David Bowie like reimagining of Major Tom or whatever. But Terra Titanic Lost to the Sea is a decent song. But the song I want to talk about is 10,000 Points, which is a song about video games. It's so incredibly cheesy, and the writing is ridiculous that it's really worth listening to. So, you know, I don't know if you can just buy that song somewhere on the internets or whatever. Or pick up the vinyl. I paid a whopping $4 for it. It was worth every penny. Peter Schilling's Things to Come. I love that denim jacket. All right, let's go back to Twitter. 10,000 Points. That song is something else. Are you going to get EDF 2 for the PS Vita? Asks J-Man. You know, I don't have a Vita. I have like every other game console in the universe. I have a Fairchild Channel F, but not a Vita. Do you think CGR will last until New Year's or at least after Christmas? Yes. I hope it will continue next year. I mean, I'm definitely going to do it as a hobby, if anything else, but I have not expected the support after my announcement of the closing of the store and the site and all that stuff. I'm not sure what's happening yet. We'll see. Akira Virtua Fighter versus Ryu Street Fighter. Cosmic Carnage. Who would win, you or 1,000 Derricks? Well, he's got that hair. You're armed with a flamethrower, but they all have game comms. I think that hair is flammable. You're not playing as many PC Steam games as before. Any particular reason? Not a particular reason, no. I'm trying to do a lot more retro moving forward. I would love to just spend more time with like ColecoVision and Sega Genesis and SG-1000 and Saturn and some other weird stuff. So no particular reason. I got a lot of great PC games and so many people on Steam have sent me games. Unfortunately, I cannot somehow find a way to make every day 8,000 hours long. If I could, I'd be playing all of them. So there's a huge just backlog of everything. What's your former Game Room co-host up to these days? As far as I know, Dave is actually a superhero. I think. He's got a cape. He fights crime. Had to grab one of his books to answer this question. Once you start reading Biomega, you can't stop. There's only 6 of them. But who is my favorite comic book artist at the moment? Ask Joe Lepresto on Twitter, and I gotta go Tsutomu Nihai, creator of Knights of Sidonia, which is a popular anime right now on Netflix, and a really good one too. That's probably one of the best science fiction animes I've seen since like Macross Plus back in the 90s. But he wrote and drew Biomega, Blame, Abara, which is a very weird one. I picked that one up. I just look at the pretty pictures, I can't even read it. But I've also got to recommend Ultraman. I'm not as familiar with the writers or the artists, but book 2 here. Ultraman's really good. So that's my comic book recommendation for the day. And these are still coming in. Let's see here. I possess the ultimate power of Sega. That's not a question, just a photograph of a Sega Genesis on top of Sega CD with the 32X. Can you see that? Knocking on Kevin's door. Clever. All right, any more questions? Is that it? I think, I think so. Have I ever tried the NVIDIA Shield? Nope, I have not. And favorite Williams Electronics arcade game? From Williams? Well, Robotron, or Defender. Usually go Robotron, but you know, they're both good. So there you go. Thank you for asking the questions. And thank you for using the forums. And of course, thank you for watching Classic Game Room. You know, how do I feel about the fan support over the years? I can't find words to even express my gratitude. So thank you. And I will see you soon. Enjoy.